I mean, I did exactly what Coach told me to do, and went to the ref, said report, and yeah.
It's only fitting that we start this off one way, just with one thing to say. How about them cheaters? Last night, man. I'm just going to say, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, we should have kicked the extra point, Dan Campbell, but I think the fix was in. We'll get to the other reasons, but I got to get your opinion on this because I know we were sending text messages back and forth. I was going crazy when Decker caught that 2-point conversion. I didn't think it was a smart play anyways to do that. I wanted to kick it, go to overtime possibly, but they just stole it away from us. What are your thoughts on that, man?
My thoughts on it are exactly what we've talked about before, and I'm a firm believer, and I'm always going to be a firm believer in it. Dan Campbell has turned this organization around, but he's also hurt it in just as many ways, from his aggressiveness to whatever you want to call it. Like, you are getting close to the playoffs now. You have to clean up your act. You have to start playing smart football.
Yeah.
And going against, I won't say the best team in the NFC, but they're definitely a top 4 team, I would say, in the NFC. Like, that was a measuring stick game. You competed, yeah, sure, but you also should have came out of Dallas with that W. I've always been a firm believer of taking points whenever the case may be, especially on the road. At home, you can get away with it a little bit because you got the fan base behind you, such and such, but on the road, you have to take the points. And game that was hard to come by points last night. So not taking that field goal early was really irritating and annoying because I was screaming to you over text message, kick it.
Me too.
And then after the penalty, you have to kick that PAT to send it to overtime. But in all honesty, I don't even say it's the Cowboys cheating. I mean, the officials need to be under investigation. It was clear as day. Like, there's video evidence, there's photography evidence. Like, Decker approached the official.
Yeah.
Like, you're not approaching the official unless you were telling him, like, hey, I am reporting as an eligible person.
Well, and that's the thing, man. I mean, listen, I never thought that we'd be in this situation again. We've already went through this with Dallas a few years back when Matthew Stafford was here. Brandon Pettigrew, no flags thrown. He's on him like a blanket. Holding him all day. Dez Bryant goes on the field, takes his helmet off. Not a penalty. Dallas, the NFL loves Dallas. They were not going to ruin Jerry's night. And it just wasn't. I mean, I say Jerry's night because it felt like it was like a kiss fest for Jerry Jones, when in actuality it was enshrinement into the ring of honor for Jimmy Johnson. But it felt like it was a Jerry Jones thing, right? Like, because Jerry was like, oh, you not only have you inspired the players, the fans, and then he ends with himself. Like, no one cares, man. Like, put players on the field, and you've done a great job with that, but you've got like billions of dollars, so you've built this Jerry's world and whatnot. But like they say, America's team. I can't stand Dallas. I can't stand the Cowboys. That's not my team.
I don't think anybody outside of Dallas can stand the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the pool report too, because that I thought was quite interesting. And I don't really think it makes much sense if you're asking me. So the question was, why was there a penalty called on the 2-point conversion for an illegal touch? Allen, the official, says, so we had a situation where if you were going to have an ineligible number occupy an eligible position, you have to report that to a referee. On this particular play, number 70, Dan Skipper, who was not by him at the time, who had reported during the game a couple of times, reported to me as eligible. Then he lined up as a tackle, which Dan Skipper does, which a tackle can't run for a pass. You know what I'm saying? So actually, he didn't have to report at all. Number 68, who was talking to him, who ended up going downfield and touching the pass, did not report. Therefore, he is an ineligible touching a pass that goes beyond the line, which makes it a foul. So the issue is number 70 did report, not 68. And then there was a player that – this is another question. There was a player that went to you before that play. It was Decker, and he was talking to you, 2 linemen talking to you. Then you went to the Cowboys defensive line to speak to them. What was the conversation about? Allen says basically, this was number 70 talking to me. No, it wasn't, dude.
Yeah.
It was never number 70. And both players, Skipper says, I never said a word to the official. And Decker says, I did. And you know what? And Campbell said it. And I tell you what, Campbell doesn't say anything about officials. None of those guys, Lions players, don't really complain about officials. That was a fix, man, and nobody can tell me any different.
Well, yeah, I mean, even going one step further, like this officiating crew has been a part of the three worst officiated games all season. If you think about, late calls that weren't called, i.e., the Chiefs versus Packers game down the field, Marquez Valdez-Scantling was clearly all over by the Packers defender.
Yeah.
And the Eagles and Dolphins game where Bradbury clearly pulls the face mask of a Dolphins wide receiver that wasn't called. Like it was this officiating crew who was at the helm of those three games who essentially, cost, games too. And in the Lions case, like this has major playoff implications. Like the Lions were still alive for the 1 seed, which I don't think they were going to get because the Niners have a cake of a schedule, but still a number 2 seed and potentially having a playoff game against Dallas or Philly.
You could have 2 playoff games if you win.
But my point is though, the Dallas and Philly winner would have had of that division would have had to come to Detroit. Now it's looking like Detroit's going to have to go back to either Dallas or Philly, whoever gets that number 2 seed and wins the NFC East.
I'll be honest with you, I want Dallas now.